Okay, well today we're going to make a computer control cable for a Bearcat 895 XLT scanner. What we'll need is a 9-pin connector and if you've got one, an old audio cable off of your CD-ROM drive, DVD drive, or whatever. I dare say there's something floating around the house. Now these are only 4-pin and the actual connection itself is 5, but 2 of the pins are paired up except for the center one, which is it's ground. Now to prevent your ground going to a live port, we're actually going to add another socket on the end there. Okay, we've glued on the extra piece here to center the black wire, which will be our de facto earth. We've also used motherboard spacer. Do you remember those things? Anyone remember those? They're pretty ancient now. They were used to isolate the motherboard from the metal case, but like I said, I don't throw anything away, so I cut down one of those and I've used it to reinforce that connection. Alright, well that's that end done. What we need to do now is work on the other end. Okay, now at the beginning of this you would have made a circuit diagram, or at least a pin out. Here's mine, with the scrap paper, cardboard. We've got pin 1 or 5 on this end, which will be red. We've got that for our TX cable. Right, now I don't know if the camera will pick this up, probably won't, but they cleverly mark the pins on here as to what their orientation is. If you can't see it clearly, Google it, find a pin out, copy it down, and do it that way. But these pins are pretty clearly labelled, in this light anyway. So we're working with TX3, which will be the middle top one. Okay. The next pin will be RX, which is pin 2 on this and 1 or 4 on the other end. Sorry, 2 or 4 on the other end. So it's going to either be yellow or white. Okay, so that's the second wire, which was the RX or receive, to pin 2 all 4. And we put it to pin 2. And it needs ground. We're not going to worry about the white wire, which would have been 4, which would also be pin 2. So you could wire that over if you wanted to. Pin 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we've wired the earth to pin 5. We've connected pin 2 to what would be the second pin on the plug, and the first one we soldered was to pin 3, which was pin 1. So you've got 1, 2, 3. The white is actually surplus and I've cut it off, not necessary. All we're going to do is put it into its little cover, and I've added a strain relief cable tie there as well. Right, that's all there is to the cable really. Just to quickly recap, we've got a 4-pin off of an audio cable for a CD-ROM, DVD drive, whatever, optical drive, and we've cut a 2-pin header down and actually glued it on and reinforced it. So that's quite sturdy now. It's a quite good, quite rigid. On the other end, 3 wires that were actually used off here, soldered to the appropriate pins. What we have to do here is this 5-pin arrangement now plugs into the back of a 895 XLT. The other end plugs into the COM port 1 or 2 on the back of your computer. And now we can look at some software. This particular shareware software is called AirSCAN. I'll put the details in the description. It's a command line interface for the scanner. It allows you to remotely program channels, scan. Setting it up is pretty easy. Choose a port. It also scans your program channels and tells you which ones receiving hits on. This one, ScanControl, most people will be familiar with. This is a demo version, and I use this on my 780 XLT as well to primarily program. This would be what you would consider a GUI interface.